So here we have famous model, actress, movie star, television star, and rocker Rose McGOWAN. This story is breaking news even though this photo and information came about March 29, 2010. The public nor anyone else was aware of the story inside the photo pictured in this video. Recent remarks added fire to the story and needs to be brought to light, and the public will be interested to know what is going on here. Pictured in this photo are three people. At the time of this picture, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for President Obama Mr. Mike Mullen, who now serves on the Board of Directors of Sprint and Board of Directors for GM, famous multi-talented movie star mentioned above Rose McGOWAN, and the other man pictured here, who is responsible for at many of reasons this article being written, Joshua GOLEIN. The trio apparently had some type of meet and greet or introduction on March 29, 2010 during a USO tour Rose McGOWAN was booked for. As stated in the small article or caption posted to the United States Department of Defense website www.defense.gov, link posted in video description, page called Travels with Mullen, the three met before leaving Andrews Naval Air Facility, Washington, Maryland. We cannot say whether the Chairman Mullen was on the flight with Mrs. McGOWAN and Mr. GOLEIN. Photo taken by Navy Petty Officer First Class Chad J. McNeely. So this is the height of the photo and it was posted on the DoD page for the public to see. What is unknown most likely, to the Chairman Mullen, and this is our belief and opinion, and Mrs. McGOWAN possibly, even though she probably spent much more time with her tour manager, is the type of person that her tour manager is/was, and the chairman probably would have never met with him. And we also believe that it is not Rose McGowan's responsibility, who was hired as her tour manager, but probably had major input in the situation. And admittedly we do not know where Josh GOLEIN was hired, where he worked at the time, or any other details about Joshua's career. All research attempts, and requests for information from McGOWAN and her team went unanswered. The only details we could find about him was that at some point around 2004 or 2005 GOLEIN was working as a hairstylist or something along these lines in his hometown of Indianapolis, Indiana, at award-winning Studio 2000 Salon and Day Spa. So that brings us current up to past histories as far as we know about Mr. Joshua GOLEIN. Let's talk about what kind of person Mr. GOLEIN is. He comes from a large family in Indianapolis. And I will state that I can affirm and testify to claims made in this story about GOLEIN, as I was close to this rather large family, and besides Mr. GOLEIN, this family is full of wonderful caring people who were very close until certain events tore this extended family apart. We will not speak of Joshua's personal preferences or orientations, and personal choices. We will speak on his behaviors that caused many problems for the above-mentioned family and years of emotional pain and anguish directly for a few of his younger family members that fell victim to GOLEIN's sick, almost inter-sibling, sexually abusive sick ways. We say almost inter-sibling because of the closeness of the cousins, and either way it is child molestation and sexual abuse. And these were reportedly not singular incidents of playing doctor or curiosity between children. This was molestation that went on for a long period of time, years of abuse, with multiple instances with multiple children in the family. When Joshua's 6 sexually abusive incidents were finally revealed after years of mental and physical abuse by one of the children, the floodgates opened and many more incidents came spilling forth. Then, instead of facing the shame and responsibilities of his actions, Mr. GOLEIN somehow moved himself to California in fear of prosecution and to escape possible repercussions and consequences from the law and family members. And Joshua had years to figure out his actions were highly unacceptable ethically, legally, and most important morally wrong. He was no longer a young child at this point, and anyone of the age he was at this point knows they are committing horrific crimes against family members. And if a male of this age truly cannot understand the wrongfulness and impact of these crimes, should be in some sort of mental health intense treatment facility. But amazingly, the run and hide strategy worked perfectly as far as we know, because no family members ever reported of going to the police. Some experts say that the families just want to bury the secret and try to move on with life. These sick, twisted acts Joshua perpetrated caused rifts and divides among adults through the extended family, caused major embarrassment, emotional pain, anguish, and suffering for many family members, and also led to some of the victims to have sexual abusive situations of their own, which experts say happens a lot of the time. Mr. GOLEIN stated that he was molested when he was young but never exposed his abuser, and many members of the family thought of this as an excuse, or a ploy to look for sympathy to avoid prosecutions for his crimes. This was the breaking of a close-knit family that had spent most holidays all gathering at relatives' houses in numbers as large as 30 to 40 people to never spend this kind of time ever again. The family was divided into factions that still have extreme problems to this day. And you may be thinking, why expose all this now? Well, the photo brought a lot of bad memories to the surface, and the question can be asked, what became of Joshua the family ruiner, and what negative consequences did he suffer / Well, apparently he is jet-setting with Hollywood celebrities and having meet and greets with President Obama's chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, flying first class around the country, while his family was left broken and in sections that hate each other, turning cousins against cousins, nieces and nephews that never speak to cousins, aunts and uncles, and even turn brothers and sisters into lifelong enemies, and emotional scarring young children that exhibit all kinds of mental disorders. All stemming from his acts. So this is why we felt the truth should be exposed, because it seems so unjust to see him living it up and everyone he came in contact with so many problems. And I will state, when I said rather large family, we are talking in the neighborhood of 40-50 grandchildren of the matriarch of the family, all living in Indianapolis at the time. Attempts were made to reach Rose McGOWAN about her opinion or thoughts on the matter, that were requested to just speak to her agent or publicist, and stated she did not directly have to interact with us, went unanswered. And moving right along with the story, Rose McGowan's Twitter account, publicly can be viewed by any of her followers, had some very interesting tweets we saw as the making of this story and video was being conducted. Pictures being shown in the video are direct tweets from her account. First tweet seen from April 16 with a picture of Bill Cosby, who most people know is having his own issues to deal with, troubled. Try accused rapist. Another tweet from her account about Bill Cosby from April 16, quote, "It's okay, it's only women. Cosby lawyers urge court to keep Philadelphia sex abuse case sealed," unquote. I hope you feel the same way about your former employee, and hopefully you can still touch base to ensure Joshua sees this piece. So we believe Mrs. McGowan, if you feel so strongly about sexual abuse and rape issues, you can throw your tour manager under the bus, or better yet do some research into your hiring, or check your handlers and people and really try to find out who you have around you. Sure, maybe you don't know or not your decision, or it may be hard to dig this kind of information up. When you're this big a celebrity, things like this can happen, and you or someone should do a better job of making sure you are around good people, not family ruining sexual abusers. And it's commendable Mrs. McGowan does stand up against these kinds of acts, and sexism, but it just looks so bad when the people you speak out against publicly are sitting right next to you in a first-class seat on a Department of Defense airplane having a great time. We also do want to point out Rose McGowan is willing to speak out for what her beliefs tell her is fair and just, to the point she was fired by an agency in some fashion. The world would probably be a better place if more people had this attitude. And please respond if you have anything to add. Maybe you did fire GOLEIN, or realized how sick he is, but our tries for communication were ignored, and it's very hard to find a way to contact a big celebrity like you. Now we close this story out, bringing to light what kind of terrible people can somehow come out in and win in life and leave their victims in a wake of despair and destruction. And maybe this will make Mr. GOLEIN feel some of the pain his victims felt, and watch his life be ruined like he ruined so many of his immediate and extended family members. Some people would say karma is a strong force in this world, and that justice finally caught up with GOLEIN, at least in a small way, because this embarrassment could probably never measure up to the damage he caused in other people's lives, because the decisions and crimes he committed set off a chain reaction that changed so many lives. And Mr. GOLEIN, if you see this video, you should think about how many lives you touched in a bad way, and how certain members of your family's lives could have branched off on a great path instead of the path you sent them down, to feed your desires. And to the families touched by this piece, we wish the best for you and hope you feel some kind of justice has been served by exposing this criminal. This piece is in no way to focus on the victims, or meant to stir up negative emotions. We hope it empowers you to feel good this abuser has to face the music in some way.